Health officials on Long Island are trying to get to the root of an outbreak that quarantined an assisted living facility. Dozens were sickened. And as Greg Sergel reports, some fear it's only a matter of time before another outbreak strikes.
It's been a frustrating 3 weeks for Mary Murphy. Her mother-in-law was among the ill here at this Lynbrook assisted living facility, and better health. Greg Sergel, News 4 New York.
Well, green beer may be the drink of choice today, but a new study suggests drinking green tea has plenty of health benefits. The study, published in the International Journal of Cancer, found that consuming green tea may protect women from breast cancer. When women drank tea along with eating fresh mushrooms, the risk of breast cancer went down, they say, 90%. Researchers caution that a larger study needs to be done about this, but that's pretty remarkable if that study
Green tea and mushrooms
green
together.
And mushrooms, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't sound all that appetizing, but 90% drop.
Yeah, but there you go. Has its benefits.
The weather was appetizing today.
Yes, it was. We couldn't have dreamed of better weather for St. Patrick's Day. Of course, we had the big parade down Fifth Avenue, and the weather was perfect for it. Our temperatures this afternoon warmed into the mid-50s after a low of 36 in the park. Near average temperatures today. Tomorrow will go slightly above as temperatures warm to near 60 tomorrow. Now, it will be a little chilly tonight. Already we're down to the 40s, but we get a little tease of spring before it officially arrives on Friday. There's some showers in the forecast on Thursday, and then some cooler weather coming up as we go towards the end of the week. Right now, it's 45 in Midtown, 50 in Monticello, 39 in West Hampton, so chilly out there. South-facing shores have been getting that breeze off the water, so it's a little bit cooler for you. Tonight's lows eventually low to mid to upper 30s tonight. Winds from the south. There'll be light across the area. Sky should be mostly clear. Temperature down to 31 in Milford, 36 in Newton, 38 in Elizabeth, and mid-30s in Plainview. Now, in terms of high temperatures tomorrow, it should be a nice, look at that, 62 in Elizabeth, Newton 64, mid-50s in Plainview, New Paltz at 62. We'll have plenty of sunshine tomorrow, and temperatures will be nice and mild in most areas. And this will be the warmest day of the week, 61 in the city and 64 in Hightstown. Here is the 7-day outlook. Nice day tomorrow, then some rain showers for Thursday. Cold front comes through and the temperatures drop back into the 40s during the day on Friday, which is when spring actually starts. Saturday, Sunday, mix of sun and clouds, 52, and we'll stay in the 50s through next week, so not bad at all. Not bad, right?
Not bad. I'm liking it. Thank you very much, Janice.
Sure.
Up next as we continue, strapped for cash or simply just too loose with your money? The MTA says it's desperate for a fare hike or new bridge tolls. We'll talk with guests who are not really convinced the need is really there. And behind the smiles and the shamrocks, Gabe Pressman found out what was on people's minds at the St. Patrick's Day parade. Well, it's the bottom of the hour and time for a recap of tonight's top stories. The sins of the father. Bernie Madoff's sons might have to pay for them. The federal prosecutors are going after some $30 million that Madoff gave to his sons Mark and Andrew over the last 5 years. That money was in the form of unsecured promissory notes. At a perfect day for a parade, an estimated 2 million people lined Fifth Avenue to soak up the sunshine and celebrate St. Patrick's Day. In just a few minutes, Gabe Preston is going to report on the mood at the march. And Governor Patterson has rejected the state Senate compromise designed to avert huge bus and subway fare hikes. The MTA says if next week's budget deadline is missed, riders could pay about 30% more for Metro cards and face service cuts. Well, New York Senate Democrats said it was a budget that would keep you from having to suffer huge fare increases on subways and buses and keep the East and Harlem River bridges free. But Governor Patterson didn't waste any time claiming the alternative budget did not provide any funding for maintenance or construction, wasn't realistic. So once again, New Yorkers are facing an uncertain future for the mass transit system that makes it possible to live and work here in New York. And here to talk more about this are New York City Councilman John Liu. He's the chair of the Council's Transportation Committee. And Nasa Pranger, she's formerly of the New York Strap Hangers campaign, and we appreciate you both coming in. And let's talk about the Senate plan for just a second here. Basically, the governor said this thing is nonsense. It doesn't begin to address the problems of the MTA. Agree or not?
I would agree with what the governor had to say. The Senate laid out a plan. I guess that's the good news. Now all the parties up in Albany have something on the table and they can get together and figure out a plan. But what the Senate plan doesn't do is address the long-term needs of the MTA and really of the transit system. It's a short-term stopgap measure, and transit riders deserve more.
Well, apparently not even short-term or stopgap. Apparently the 4% fare increase they envisioned is completely unrealistic according to one analysis.
Well, I think according to the MTA's own numbers, this is a plan that will stave off the draconian service reductions that they've proposed, and they certainly will not need to go ahead with a 23% fare increase. The Senate plan is a plan, they've been very upfront about what it does. It is a short-term measure that does not address the capital needs. It only addresses the operating needs of the MTA.
You support it?
And I think it's fair and reasonable given that the MTA imposed a time frame on Albany. This March 25th date is a date that the MTA provided. Nobody else had agreed to that date. So to make sure that things are done in time for that so-called March 25th deadline, that they had to come up with a plan to make sure that the buses and the subways can keep rolling without having to have a 23% increase.
Councilman Liu, we've seen this dance time and time again. The MTA sets a deadline. The MTA paints some draconian picture of what's going to happen. Fares are going to double, and we'll have to cut service in half, some terrible thing like
That's
that.
right.
Unless there's more state aid
and
coming.
That's the problem.
Why doesn't the MTA take a closer look at itself? I mean, the MTA is a bloated, inefficient organization.
I'm not going to argue with you there, Chuck. The problem here is that as much as we would like the MTA to be financially stable for a long term so that we don't have to revisit this thing a few years from now, and just keep in mind that just 3 years ago they had $1 billion surplus. Now they have $1 billion plus deficit. If we could rely on the numbers that the MTA was providing, then I think people, legislators included, would be far more comfortable in coming up with a long-term plan. Unfortunately, the only numbers that are available are the MTA's numbers themselves, and there is a little bit of a credibility issue going on here.
All right, well, thank you both. We have to move along here. We appreciate both of you coming in to talk about this. We barely touched the tip of the iceberg of this very thorny problem, but we'll stay in touch.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sir.
It was the ultimate economic hardship, famine, that brought so many Irish Americans to America's shores. And while no one is suggesting things would get that bad, economic worries did weigh heavily on many on Wall Street today and on St. Patrick's Day parade. They shared their concerns with Gabe Pressman.
Parade. As is usual on this day, New York's firefighters won the medal for enthusiasm. While many in the crowd expressed sadness over the state of the economy, the bright sunshine and the very essence of this holiday seemed to lift the spirits of many. On Fifth Avenue, Gabe Pressman, News 4 New York.
Now we're joining us now to talk about what St. Patrick's Day means in the city as novelist, essayist, chronicler of all things Irish-American, Peter Quinn. And Peter, we welcome you to the program here. It was good to see Gabe Pressman out in the parade route at 85, still covering parades, wasn't it?
I remember him from 50 years ago. I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up in the Bronx, so it's a great familiar face. Makes you feel at home. Yeah.
Well, everybody was saying his name behind him and distracting him. It was kind of amusing there. What does that parade mean to you?
Well, my family are Irish immigrants. They originally came in the famine of 1847, which changed New York. New York, we now think of the essence of New York as an immigrant city. It wasn't until 1847, and you actually had 2 million Irish leave, and 1 million come through South Street into New York and changed everything. And for me, it's a parade about immigration, not just about Irish immigration, but about people coming from deprived situations to the city and finding a new life.
You know, it's a remarkable fact. When you go to Ellis Island, you find out how many of us have relatives who came through Ellis Island. Well, and you also find out that something like 1 in 8 Americans can trace their ancestry back to someone in Ireland.
Yeah.
1 in 8?
One thing is there was no Ellis Island when the Irish came. I always say if they saw my relatives, they would have kept them out. But they established Castle Garden first, and then it was one of the consequences of Irish immigration that they had to make it more orderly. It was this transformative event for New York City.
Well, it's transformative in many, many ways.
Yeah, and I mean, I can still look at immigrants coming today at Chinese and Hondurans and Mexicans and say, that's my story, is their story. And to me, that's the St. Patrick's Day parade is about the triumph, not just of the Irish, but of immigration.
And there was a lot for the Irish to triumph over when they came here. They weren't exactly welcomed with open arms in this country when they first arrived.
No, they were regarded, some people regard them as another race. There was a Charles Loring Brace who said the Irish brain size between that of an Ethiopian and an Englishman. And their Catholicism set their apart. And you had the largest third-party movement in American history, the American Party, essentially to end Irish immigration. So, you know, all the issues that we hear today about immigration, they're just retreaded all the time. Every group comes, first they want to keep them out, then they're a problem, and then 50 years from now it's, oh, the Italians here are great, the Jews are here, the Irish. But that wasn't, when they came over, it wasn't like that.
Well, if you look at it now, I mean, the Irish have found their way into every aspect of American life, into politics, and initially through the police forces and the fire departments, and then into the political structure and into business and into the presidency. I think 23 presidents have some Irish ancestry.
Well, for the Catholic Irish, the great moment of belonging was John Kennedy's election in 1860. That's when it was the ultimate symbol of approval in America, is the White House. And once they entered there, it was as if all the barriers had finally gone down. But it was, I think people sometimes forget what a long, hard road it was.
Yeah, it was. And even Barack Obama has Irish ancestry. His mother's side. We'll put apostrophe in his name, Obama, for make him Irish.
Yeah, he's the second Irish president.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to share
Great,
some of
Chuck.
this.
Thank you.
It's fun with us. Well, outrage over new fees for some concert goers going to the PNC Bank Center is getting more and more expensive. DeMarco Morgan has the story for us.
Parking at PNC Bank Arts Center just became an even bigger challenge for music fans. Not because of lack of space, concert goers are now being charged for parking